everyone, welcome back. My name is Mary from Amourfloristandbridal. Right here today we're going to show you how to make a traditional dozen rose arrangement with roses here. These are Freedom Red roses. Okay, so we're going to do a dozen of those. And behind me here we have the baby's breath that we're going to use as a filler. Okay, and then we have some greenery. Got some leather fern here, and then some lemon tips here, some salal, and a variety of eucalyptus. And right here what we have is cedar eucalyptus. We want to make sure we put in at least 3 different types of greenery so you can provide an overall structural, more of a textural look to it instead of just one type of greenery, which can get boring with the roses. Okay, so here what we have are long stem red roses. Okay, to go ahead and prep them. It's not that important to have the leaves. Most of the leaves on roses itself, they're not very pretty. So I stripped off all the other ones, just leaving about a leaf or 2 on it. The roses here, again, these are Freedom Red roses, and what we're going to do is prep them. Prepping meaning that we're going to remove the outer guard petals, which are not so attractive. So we're just going to just gently pull them off, okay, so that the rose will be a lot more cleaner. Here you go. And I'll show you another one in comparison. Again, so here, they're not bad. It's just that their job is to protect the roses. So what we do is when we put them together is prep them by removing all the guard petals that don't look as nice. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that pretty quickly here. Again, I'm just going to pull out a few. Put that off to the side since those are all prepped. Okay, put that off to the side for now. And first and foremost, what we're going to do is green the container so that we can kind of create a grid. What I did here is I filled this up with water and then put some floral food in there. So I just have about a 9.5 inch vase. Opening is probably about 5.5 inches or so. That's a good size there. So I'm going to start with my leather fern. Okay, so this one's a really good stem, and we don't want to just stick this in and have it hanging out this way. What we want to do is use this to create a grid. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut this right here, because this one gives us a good, then I have 2 branches to work with. Ideally is the floral, your tippy top here. Traditional rose arrangements are more of a all-around circle dome with your highest point being at least, I want to say, your container, you don't want it, your tallest point, you want to do no more than a 1.5 of your vessel. In this case, this vase here. So this would be 1 times. And then if I just kind of eyeball this 2 times, and then I would say maybe 1/3. So we're going, at the highest point will be 1 1/3 of this vase here. So again, you don't want to go more than 1.5 times your actual container as far as the arrangements goes. Okay. So let's get back to our leather. So this was that same stem earlier I cut. I'm going to put this in, and it's going to go sideways as well as this one here. So what I'm going to do is, again, we're going to cut everything at an angle going down, and I'm putting one this way and one that way, left and right. Next is, you guess, we're going to put one on in the front and the back, but for the purpose of this video I'm just going to turn it sideways so you can kind of see what I'm working with here. See, with the leather sometimes they don't come perfect, so this one's broken off. So I'm just gonna break it off here. If you do have small arrangements like baskets that you can do, or these smaller arrangements, you can always save these to use it for those kind of containers. So whether it's greenery or flowers, again, we're cutting it in an angle, okay? And I want it to be about the same length as far as coming out, okay? So if I put this way, okay, the width should be about the same. And coming out, you shouldn't have it more than one time your actual container. So again, height-wise, no more than 1.5 times. Width-wise, no more than the width of the length of the, well, in the case, sorry, height of the container. So right here, coming out shouldn't be more than about this high. So my container here, the height is about 9.5 inches. I shouldn't go out more than 9.5 inches. Again, this only applies to traditional European arrangements. So here, I'm missing this side coming out, so I'm going to go ahead and grab another piece, and I'm going to pull off the ones that are not as good there, snip it in an angle, and then I'm going to put it. So what I did was right, left, turn it around, and then right, left. Okay, so now I have all around 4 sides. Next, I'm going to take another leather here. Again, this is a nice stem. I'm going to cut it into 2 pieces again. Again, cut everything in an angle, and I'm going to utilize this one, and I'm going to go in between. So I'm making almost like a circle. So I'm going to put this right there, and since I don't have enough stem to go into the water from this side here, okay, because this is only about 3 inches, I want to make sure I put it into my container at least 6 inches. So 6 inches is usually, for me, I'm used to measuring. I use my hands to measure. So from the bottom of my palm here to my middle finger there, it's about 6 inches. So that's how I know, and I've measured myself before, so I know. So here I'm sticking this kind of in the middle here. So again, I have right, left, front and back, and then I put another stem in the middle too. And it kind of, it's holding in place for me because I created that grid, that crisscross grid that's going in there. So now that I have that, see, okay, not done yet, but we don't want to do too much of the same type of greenery because we want to have a nice textural look. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add some lemon tips. Lemon tips are just a smaller version of salal. I like it just because they get a different textural look while, you know, not taking over from the other types of greenery. Okay, see, so it's not regular salal. It's twice as big as far as the leaves go. It's twice as broad. Okay, so I'm going to cut off. Actually, I might not want to cut off the pieces here. I'll just trim off this one little one here. It has like a little, got a little destroyed by whatever bug that was eating it before it got here. So, I mean, these are live greenery. So live greenery and flowers, you're going to get bug bites. As long as they don't come with the product, that's fine. And all of the products, you know, they're from, whether from California or from down south, all of them have to go through inspection. So you don't need to worry too much about bringing any bugs into your home or into your shop or wherever you're doing flowers. So right here, what I did, I was just cutting again, making sure I have at least 6 inches of stem to put in. That way we know that it's down enough, at least halfway down the container to drink water. And again, I'm cutting each of them angled, okay? So here, what I did is in between the gaps, right here, of the leather fern, and I'm gonna put my next one here and here, okay? Wherever there's a gap, I'm just going to slide it in an angle and then have it come out. So that way I'm creating a nice circumference of greenery. And after I get that in, so I'm just picking through which stem would be, most of the time the lemon tips are the stems are a little bit shorter than others. But I like it because it's smaller, more of a miniature salao. But again, I just slid this one in here because we want it to look good not only from the top but all around as you're looking at over like eye level. Let me see what else I can grab here. I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to split this up into 2 pieces. And since this one's a little wavy, curving this way as opposed to this being straight, I'm going to use this to come out here because this one here, there's a little gap there. So I want it to look round. See if I tilt this, okay? I want to have that overall round look there. And this one, I think I want to stick it in the middle somewhere, but again, I want to make sure this is only about, I want to say 4 inches. So I'm going to pull off that piece, toss that, and then I'm going to insert it in. Okay, again, I want to make sure it's going down enough to get enough water. So now that it's semi all around with greenery, again, I'm evening out the types of greenery here with my leather. So not too heavy one side with the leather and not too heavy with the lemon tips. But I do see a gap here, so I kind of want to add another piece there. So what I'm going to do again, cut in an angle, and I'm going to add this one here, just because I want to have that even scale of just like a disbursement of the texture, as well as the colors are different. Leather is a little darker, lemon tips are a little bit lighter. And last but not least, we have our ever popular eucalyptus here. Okay, that's this we have seeded, and they're really pretty because they're gonna hang out. So this is 1 stem. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to cut in an angle. I'm just gonna separate the pieces. Okay, I do like to save as you cut into the eucalyptus, you'll find sturdier stems towards the middle. The middle stem would be your strongest stem. All the rest, can go off to the side. Again, this 1 stem here, I'm cutting into about 5 or 6, I think even 7 stems here. So with this one being the sturdiest stem in the middle, I want to put it in the middle there, okay? Let's see, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off all these little pieces here. I don't need those. And again, I want to make sure this is going straight in the middle. Now that we have a very good grid, once I put something down the middle, it should stay. And I'm using my table here as a leveler. So if I'm going to stick this in the middle here, it should be about this height. Okay, I kind of want my greenery at the highest level. It would be 1 times the actual vase. Okay. So overall right now with my greenery, my arrangement should be about 18 inches with, of course, my rose later sticking up a little bit tad higher with the baby spread. So this one's, not really behaving too well. So it's leaning out to the side, which is totally fine. You can, add other things later. So again, I'm pulling off these leaves because we don't want any leaves in the water. We want to keep the vase, whatever's underwater, to be strictly stems, because the leaves will cause the water to get murky or quicker. Okay, and we don't want that because it contaminates the water and it makes the flowers not last as long as we want it to be. So when you get fresh roses and a fresh arrangement from the actual florist, your flowers should last you at least a good week, okay? Any less than they're older flowers, or they haven't been taken, taken care of, okay? So here, these are all the little pieces I cut off earlier from that 1 branch. So the stem is a little irregular. It went like this and then sideways, but that's totally fine. I still can insert it in, and that's, again, at least 6 inches here for me. So I'm going to find a spot, insert it in. Again, I'm just kind of going around the circumference here, kind of evening out the textures. And so the stem I'm going to cut. We'll have one more that can hang out. And then this one we can stick in the middle. You know, somewhat stay put where we want it to be, because we want it not only all around but also in the middle. Let's see. Eucalyptus, unless it's baby blue, which is another word, spiral euc, they don't, I want to say, stick up and have a strong, steady backbone like a lot of other greeneries, because it's from a tree, so it kind of hangs over more than staying up. But that's totally fine, because we have other greeneries if we need it to stick up. But again, the greenery is to solely build that grid and help you hold your stems in place well. So as far as the greenery goes, I think I pretty much got to where I want it to be. We can always add more as we go. I'm just gonna stick one more here. Make sure it's a little even. Okay, there we go. Okay, nice even disbursement there. So I should have sprayed this earlier, but because we don't want to spray it onto the eucalyptus leaves. But I'm just gonna kind of put a little bit of spritz and spray the lemon leaf and the leather, just because those tend to dry out quicker and won't lose their shine quicker. As far as the eucalyptus go, they're popular and most people like because of that rustic, you know, look. So even when they're dried out, they will still have that same blue-green color. Okay, so that's pretty much what we have now. As far as the greenery, it's already looking nice, isn't it? Sometimes people just like it simple like this with just greenery. But okay, in this case here, we're going to be working with our long stem roses. And what I usually like to do is when I get the bunch, whether you get it from the grocery store or from your local florist, you want to get your stems, and I usually just hit it on my counter or the table, find my tallest rose, because that would be my middle rose, which I'm not going to put in yet. Okay, so see here, I'm measuring here, that's 1 1/3 of height here. Again, highest you would go 1 1/2, which is probably about this high if you're looking at as far as ratio, because overall you want everything to look balanced, and you don't want it to be too top heavy or too full, and in that case it's not gonna look as pleasing. Okay, so I put aside my tall rose. In fact, I'm just gonna stick it here so that it can hang out in the water. As far as the roses go, off to the sides, so same thing like how we created the greenery with to build a grid, we're going to do the same thing with the roses. And when I do look at my roses, we want to choose something that has, especially that hangs out to the side, to have that little curve. You see how this one here, as opposed to this one kind of turns out a little bit on its own. So these ones do best as opposed to the straight ones to hang out on the edge of the bouquet. So kind of a rule of thumb is how when we do the dozen roses, we're going to go around. First layer would be 6, and then we call that second tier would be 5, and then 1 in the middle. So that would give you the 12, which is the dozen. Okay. So here I'm going to save my sturdy straight ones for my second tier, since I have the tippy top one here. I'll put this one off to the side, and then I'm going to see. So this one is curvy, so I'm going to put that down. And so here, see, this one's curvy, so I'm going to put this one down, and this one too. So as long as I get 6, so again, this one, see, curvy there. This one too, so put another one there. So now I have 5, I only need 1 more. I mean, if you do get a curvy one, another curvy one, that for the second tier, that's also fine too. Okay, so, but you want to find the one that is the curviest to be on the first tier. So now I'm going to put my other 5 down here, and I have my 6 curvy ones here. So first I'm going to level them on my table here. They're all about the same height. Okay, so I'm not too worried about them. But if, let's say you have some that are like this, and they're different heights, and you already flattened the stems on the bottom, what you would do is you would start off with the shorter ones first. Okay, but in this case, we don't need to. So as far as, again, hanging out, you don't want them hanging out too much. Okay, again, you're going to go 1 times coming out the vase itself. So if I turn my rose, barely, I'm touching the table here, okay, then I'm going to, this is where the end of the vase is, that's where my finger is. Okay, so that's when I say the 9.5. So if I were to put it into the vase, I'm holding this here, where I'm pinching is where it should hit the side of the vase. It shouldn't come out more than that. Okay, yeah, so it's about a head of a rose out of the greenery. Okay, so you don't want it, again, too short either, because then if you're looking off to the side, in the front, you're fine. If you're looking to the side, your rose is going to disappear. So you want it to come out a little bit there. Okay, so again, I already got that. So now I'm going to kind of eyeball, because this, when we're sticking it in, we're going to stick it in diagonally. We're going to cut the stem in a slant, and we're going to stick this in diagonally, because it's going to go out from this side, right and left, and then I'm going to turn it, and then we're going to go right and left again. Okay, so again, I'm going to measure this, and where it kind of hits the glass is about 3 inches up. So I'm going to cut this in an angle, and I'm going to, see here, slide this in from the bottom, the collar of the vase, to the right here. Just kind of tuck it in and kind of twist it. If you built a good grid, it should hold your roses really, really well. So here, I got my first stem in there. Okay, so if you look up to the side here, it's sticking out 1 head out. So now that I got that on that side, I'm going to get my next stem here. Okay. Again, I'm going to measure. Again, since they're about all the same size, I'm going to cut them about the same, which is about 3 inches. So again, it's a good grid, so it's not going in as easily. So here, so if you're looking at it evenly here, I might have to go down a little bit. So this one's sticking out just a little bit more than this. I do want it to be even. So I'm going to cut another 1/2 inch or so, and then go ahead and tuck it back in again. Okay. Don't worry if you cut it too short. Let's say, okay, I'm just kind of really pushing this in. If you got it too short, but you've had good grit, you can actually pull it out, and it should stay where you want it to. Okay, so that's why it's really important if you have a good grid there. So this and this should be about even. Okay, so there, and then you guessed it, I'm going to go right and left now. Just turn my container around, and I'm just going to pull the stem out because I don't need it. Just keeping one as long as it's not too bad. Okay, so again, I'm just cutting about 3 inches there. And I just kind of, I can do a pretend and just hit the bottom of my table here and kind of eyeball where that would go. Again, so I'm just kind of, again, I want the rose to kind of lean out, lean on my collar of the vase. So I'm going to get another stem here. Again, I'm going to cut about 3 inches off, kind of eyeball where I want it to be. Again, I'm hitting the table because that would be the bottom of my vase. So here, so that one's there. Again, I'm just kind of look. Okay, do you want to kind of create that? Want that even look. So now I have 2 more to put, and it doesn't really matter where you put it. You can just eyeball where you see a bigger gap, then you can insert it in there. But you kind of want that even look. So if you're gonna have, let's say, something else here more and you have a gap on the other side, so when you're sticking in your second tier, that's where you would place the other one. But I do kind of try to, and if you need to remove the stems and reinsert it, I do kind of try to space the bottom level kind of even. So right now I want to say they're about 6 inches apart, which is the palm of my hand. I advise you to, if you have bigger hands or smaller hands, then measure with a tape measure, tape measure or ruler, and then you kind of gauge your size from there. Okay. Alrighty, so that's your first level. Okay, it should be pretty much the same as far as coming out. Okay. Again, these are the curvy ones. They're kind of hanging out, so you do want to be able to see it from eye level and not just have the flowers just sticking up, because we want to do multi-layer and also all around. Okay, so next I have my 5. So I'm going to do this. I want to say again, our highest point would be right here, and I just want this to be, I want to say, a little bit above, so probably about 4 inches peeking out. So here, since the other ones I cut 3 inches, I'm going to start with 2 inches. Okay, because I'm going to have it about 1 inch higher than my other ones there. So here, so in between this here, these two, I'm going to have one facing out. Okay, so that way you don't have a bunch of empty gaps. So I'm going to go all around to do that. So I have that one there. I'm going to put another one here. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So then I'm going to cut about 2 inches because they were all about the same size. Put one here. And another 2 inches there. Getting a little tight there, so I'm going to wiggle my way. Don't force it, because if you can, let's say there's a good blockage there, if you force it in, your stem can break and then you'll be short a rose. Unless you're in a flower shop or you have more than 12 stems, then you're okay. You can go back and go and grab another one. But yeah, you don't want to force it and then you'll have a broken stem. Okay, so here, now I have my 2 tiers. I'm gonna tilt it a little bit for you to see. Okay, I don't want it to be even there. Now I have my tippy top here that I'm going to put. So here, with, as you know, any florist, any designer, whether, I mean, this is the good height for us to go, but I'm going to have to still trim the stem because I want it to have a fresh cut. So I'm just going to cut about 1/2 inch. We don't want it to be too short, okay, because we do want it to be higher than all the other ones. But a fresh cut will give it a clean mouth to drink. Let's just say it that way. Okay, so here we go. So here we have a dome. We want to make sure we have that dome. And then you can see the different tiers. Okay. There we go. So it should be about even all around. If not, don't worry. You can pull and adjust as you go. And if you feel like it's still, let's say, too weak and it's not holding your stems, because you know, us designers, when we do design, the flowers have to be able to sit in the van, and it has to arrive the same way it left our shop. Okay, so if, let's say, it poorly structured, it will be lopsided. This flower might end up on this side, and then you're missing your hat, your dome, your tippy top here. Okay, same goes for the other ones. If they're not held securely, they're going to move, and you won't have that nice shape or look as it was when it left the shop, okay, or left your home, or wherever it is. Another good way is, if you are, some people just like the greenery like this, I can add a little bit more eucalyptus. This one's a little bit too heavy, so I'm just gonna pull back some of the stems, and I can use this in a short container. Okay, I feel like this one here, I'm missing. I have the eucalyptus here, but I'm missing something here, so I want something hanging on this side just to kind of balance it all off. Okay, so I'm going to cut it and put this in here so that I can kind of balance that look off for me. And, okay, so now we can add, it can go as is this way. Some people like just the roses and the greenery, but I want to say 60% of our customers do like the baby's breath. Scientific name will be Gypsophila. There are a lot of different varieties. This variety here is the Million Star, which they're smaller florets, and there's, I think personally they last longer and they dry better. The other ones, which are a little bigger, would be like New Love. What's the other one called? Don't quite remember. If I remember, I'll let you know. But we want to fill in from the top down. So here, once I'm cutting them off, so I can cut it in the tippy top first, because I want to make sure I get it even. So here I'm putting it on my table, and it's a little bit too high. So what I'm trying to do with the filler, these are called filler flowers, we're just accenting the main flowers, which are the roses in this case. So it's going to go right underneath the roses, just a little bit here and there. We don't want something that's going to stick out like this and, you know, take over, and then it'll just be a big messy thing. So here I'm going to cut my stem. Okay, so if I'm hitting this down on the table, it should fit nicely right underneath my roses and right in between my roses. If it is certain stems sticking out, then again, what you can do is just cut it off. You can use it in the same container on the lower portion, or you can save it for another arrangement. So you don't want anything to go to waste. So here I just stuck this one in, and because baby's breath, they have different tiers, branches coming out. So I saved one branch, and then 2 branches, and then 3 branches. So there are different levels, which works out. See? Okay. So again, I'm just gonna cut these off because I can put these off to the side, and I want another tall one in between that empty spot there. So again, even with the baby's breath, you want to make sure you evenly disperse it, especially with baby's breath, since it is white, so the color would be a little more pronounced than, let's say, if it was a pink filler. Okay, so I'm gonna really put the stem in, and especially with baby's breath, and if you haven't worked with them before, then you're not sure, you won't really understand what I mean, but if you've worked with it before, then you know they can break off pretty easily. Just like carnations, they have different little nodes, and they can snap. They're not like a rose that's lot more hardier stem and straight and even. This one have different multiple branches, and which are kind of like breaking points in a way. So here again, I'm making sure all my stems have a clean cut and it's sticking out. So I'm just kind of going in between gaps. And this time I'm working at the second tier, and the bottom level. And then I'm cutting it off at an angle. the side. And just nothing sticking up way too high. Again, we want it to be proportioned. Okay, just kind of next to the roses, or like a little bit right underneath them. Doesn't have a gap, so I'm sticking it there. And these are just accent. We don't want anything too powerful to take away from the roses. Okay, just a little accent, and we want to make sure that it's even. So if I'm looking at it, I have this area that seems kind of bare, and maybe something right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's see, another branch of the baby's breath. We don't need the tippy top ones anymore. So I'm going to cut some stems that are off to the side on the bottom. Okay, I got one, and I'm going to take two. Because I have about 2 areas. This one is a little too good. I'm going to cut it and just toss that one. Kind of broken there. Okay, so I've got 2 stems. That's exactly what I needed. Let's see, where were they? Right here. That's where I need it. And you gotta make the call. If it's an empty spot and if it calls for more greenery, then that's what you need to put in. If it calls for the baby's breath, then that's what you need to put in. So there we go. So now I got them pretty much all around, and for the most part, I think it's even enough for me, and we hope the recipient will be happy with it. So here we go. I'm just going to tilt it a little bit so you can see the overall. But here's your traditional dozen rose arrangement. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.